that's, I guess, just kind of my 2 cents, and happy to chat with anyone about, I guess, my feelings. If you want to chat after, I'm not going to take any more time, but thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Wes. Is there anybody else?
My name is David Daniels.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, just if you would, we're just trying
I
to.
just saw the movie
try-
Star is Born. I thought I could.
It's not
Lady
karaoke.
Gaga, Lady Gaga.
We're addressing council.
Oh, I see. My name is David Daniels. I live at 3 Toy Lane. And I had some questions, but I'll try to make it as comments. First of all, I don't live near the brewery, and my interest really is to see that the process is done. And part of the key question for me is this facility appropriate for the location? So I guess the first comment or question is, I haven't seen the staff provide any example of a brewery this size and this capacity, this size being apparently it's about 2,900 square feet, this capacity being between 500 to 15,000, bless you, hectoliters in this location. So I've asked staff before, probably several times, have they actually come up with an example of where this is located. And to my knowledge, they really haven't. Again, I'm quite happy with the church being the church being a restaurant and the retail shop. It's really the location. So I've done a little research, and so there are 2 recent examples, and one I've mentioned in something I've written, but another one I've just recently found. One deals with an area of Halifax, the Timberley area, where they also had the same issue. Someone came, they wanted to build a brewery, so they did a study in the area, and in that case, they actually allowed the brewery, but the brewery could not abut a residential use or residential zone. Another example is in Ottawa, which unfortunately I've never visited, but I spoke to the planner, and apparently there are some areas of Ottawa that in some way are comparable, having a commercial street with residences nearby. Now, in the case of Ottawa, the new statute doesn't allow, it doesn't have a provision saying it can't abut a residential use, but they actually have a size limit of 350 square meters for both the main use and the other and ancillary use. And I have the documents here, which I'll I guess put in the record. Those are the 2 reports about the Ottawa and Halifax. The other question is what is, in terms of whether this is an appropriate place, this I would suggest is a light industry. Light industries are permitted in the town in the C3 area with the development agreement. Light industries are defined to include light manufacturing. So I have the definition of light manufacturing, and I will bother reading it again. I have copies, and these definitions come from the same book that the staff has cited for accessory use. I think I've written something, you may have seen it. It should be submitted, I've already submitted it, about their take on accessory use. But that same book, so I have the definitions of light manufacturing, light industry. And I guess finally, maybe it's more, but so another thing is, and I've asked this before, the owners have stated twice that the town was always aware that they wanted off-site sales. And then the question which I posed, never been answered, is if that's the case, how did the town staff, in several of the early reports, say, and I'll just read that, what they said. So keep in mind, so on one hand you have the owner saying the staff has always been, and then the second version, the owners say the town, including the planning staff, have always been aware that there was off-site sales, that was in their plan. And yet we have the town saying, or the staff saying, quote, the brewery proposes to be brewing beer that would be sold in the restaurant, as well as the retail space, and would be subordinate to the restaurant/retail use. Nothing about off-site sales. In that same report, and it actually repeats twice, it says the proposed use of the property as a restaurant retail space with attached brewery would be considered permitted use in the C1 zone. Now keep in mind, at this point, the C1 zone has the exclusively devoted to. So I've never received a good answer. And why is this relevant? I would say it's relevant because I've mentioned this in stuff I've written. And that is that the question, the comment I have is the town really making these decisions based on appropriate planning principles, like land use, the compatibility of land uses, versus are they being, is this being done to avoid litigation? Now, I think I've asked or someone's asked regarding this issue several times, and the town, in one of its responses, said, we can't comment on that. Well, I'd like to know, or I urge the council to think about, what, are you doing this for the purpose of putting an appropriate land use in an appropriate place? Or are you doing this because you know you're going to get sued if you sort of don't go forward? I'm sorry, one more thing, then I'll stop. And that is that I didn't speak to, the town's building inspector, as you may know, or may not know, for building purposes, buildings are classified under, as to their occupancy. So the building inspector has determined that the brewery is classified as an F3, which is light industry. Your MPS clearly indicates that industry should go, the light industry should go in the C3 area. But you're just sort of, it's being moved to this location. I think that's it. Thank you. Oh, let me give you these.
Thank you, David.
You're welcome.
Christine Lynch. I live in East Main Street. Don't live on Seaview. I've been here for 25 years. And my concern is not with the brewery being there as such. Quite happy to have the restaurant there and selling on site. But my concern is that the town has a pattern of doing this, and that it is getting a reputation, I feel, with developers or entrepreneurs or whoever has money, that they can come in and they can do what they want and they will get it so it works in the end. No matter what the bylaws are, no matter what the zoning is, it just happens. And I've seen it happen over time in this town, and I have evidence that developers feel this way. It has a reputation.
Thank you, Christine.
Good evening, Council. I've been debating for a long time if I was going to speak this evening. My name is Bruce McGaw. I live at 9 Prospect. I'm originally a resident of Bridgetown, and I've lived away for a long time. Moving back to the Valley was a very tough decision for myself. I have never considered it to be a full-time possibility for me, and with the growth in the alcohol production industry in this area, it has really brought to light the possibilities and opportunities that are now presenting themselves. I'm not going to talk about anything except for my personal experiences this evening. I'd like to thank everybody for their opinions that they've presented and for coming forward and speaking about this matter. I worked in 3 craft breweries. I worked at the Church Brewing Company. One of the things I was most excited about starting with the Church Brewing Company was creating jobs. Jobs are tough to come by. We are in a time where it is hard for individuals to find a job. Where we live now, it is tough to get people to stay. We're at Acadia University right now, and from what I've seen, it is hard to get individuals to want to stay in this area once they finish at Acadia University. One of my biggest hopes with the Church Brewing Company